הטובונים שירו למלך הטובונים שירו 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 למלך בספרס מפויו הטובונים שירו שירו הטובונים שירו למלך אוי הטובונים שירו 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 למלך בספרס מפויו אוי 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 באשרי עבודו ועבודו המשמיעים בקוי שיבחוי והטובונים שירו 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 למלך שירו שירו למלך Oy bi ashle yavodo vo yavodo Oy hamash mi yim bekoy shi bekoy be atovo anim shiru 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 la melech shiru la melech Oy bi ashle yavodo
Shalom, shalom, shabbat shalom, shawato. May God bless you. God be with you guys. How you guys are doing today? Hopefully you are having a fantastic Shabbat today. And today the Shabbat is starting, and then tomorrow, and we have a long weekend. Memorial Day is on Monday. It's really, really good to have long weekends, you know. It's always fun. It's always nice. Relax, do something, plan something. So that's good to have kind of a long vacation. So we are having a long weekend. I'm not sure how about you guys. You may not have, unfortunately. Sorry. So well, anyways, having said that, welcome to Call Horeb, the sounds of Horeb. Let's go and unpack what Mark chapter 8 says. Again, as usual, the disclaimer I always throw in, this is not to talk against Christianity or against any Christian preachers or teachers, but to tell you the truth and the fact so that you may go and find out this is real truth or not. If this is not a truth one, if you don't accept this, please do not follow. Go on your way. But if it is, go and ask yourself, study yourself, learn yourself. And then if I said anything wrong, if you feel that, please contact me anytime. I would like to explain you more in detail in person, even in one-on-one. It's up to you guys to decide on that. So again, there is no enmity or animosity between you and me, or who are the viewers are viewing it or listening to this one. So let's go and unpack this Mark chapter 8. We have seen so many things in the Mark Gospel from 1 to 7. We have come up to Mark chapter 18. We are almost crossing the half well, and we will completely finish in near future. So let's see some of the chapters. What it's some of the things that I really wanted to know. Something I wanted to see. One thing. Just let me check this one and couple of chapters before. I want to confirm one thing so that I can get these things going on. See, that's really bad. So all right, yeah, that's true. All right, I got a point. Before I open this Mark chapter 7, 8, and I had to confirm certain things. That's why I was going on there. Let's go. Yes. Mark chapter 8. In those days, the multitude being very great and having nothing to eat, Jesus called his disciples unto him and saith unto them, I have compassion on the multitude, because they have now been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. And if I send them away fasting to their own houses, they will find faint by the way. For divers of them came from afar. And his disciples answered him, From whence can a man satisfy these men with bread here in the wilderness? And he asked them, How many loaves have ye? And they said, 7. And he commanded the people to sit down on the ground, and he took the 7 loaves and gave thanks, and brake and gave to his disciples to set before them, and they did set them before the people. And they had a few small fishes, and he blessed and commanded to set them also before them. So they did eat and were filled, and they took up of the broken meat there was left 7 baskets. And they that had eaten were about 4,000, and he sent them away. This is an interesting story from chapter Mark 8, 1 to 9. Why it is interesting? Because I do not know, or you may not be knowing it, because it is already there. In Mark chapter 6, we already saw a miracle with the 5 loaves of bread and with the 2 fish. And then again, it was like 5,000 people were fed. So how it's possible? Why these disciples didn't realize? They never realized what's happening here. How it's possible? Just only 2 chapters away. Like in the chapter 6, Jesus fed almost 5,000 people with the 5 loaves of bread, with the 2 fish, and now again the same scenario in chapter 8, and then the disciples got panicked. How come? They should know by this time, by this time, they should already knew about Jesus Christ, that he could definitely provide anything in any place, right? That is something to think about. As I'm telling, it's Mark chapter 8 is full of controversies. You are going to watch it, you are going to see it. See, the first result, already Jesus had done already a miracle in Mark chapter 6, and then disciples are so surprised, are so worried how and where in this forest land, or how they're going to get this food. There is no food at all. So this is kind of not sinking together with the disciples. Right? Okay. Let's read Mark again and further down. Okay. And straightway he entered into a ship with his disciples and came into the parts of Dalmanutha. And the Pharisees came forth and began to question with him, seeking him of a sign from heaven, tempting him. And he sighed deeply in his spirit, and said, Why doth this generation seek after a sign? Verily I say unto you, there shall no sign be given unto this generation. Again, I'm reading these words again. There shall be no sign given to this generation. And he left them, and entering into the ship, again departed to the other side. This is again one more controversy here, what we are seeing with Jesus, because how about disciples were asking him a sign? If you are a Messiah, or if you're going to do this thing, give us a sign, so that we will, at least acknowledge that you are the one. So they were asking a sign, but Jesus completely refused it. How come he doesn't want to give a sign? So, but in Matthew 12:39, Jesus that said there will be a sign given. How it will be given? Let's read Matthew chapter 12 and 39 word. Please bear with me. We're going to read Matthew chapter 12 and 39. Let's see if I'm correct. So in this chapter in Matthew, in Mark says about the disciple asked him. In here, and Matthew says in 38th verse of 12th chapter, then certain of scribes of the Pharisees answered, saying, Master, we would see a sign from thee. But he answered and said unto them, An evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given to it but the sign of the prophet Jonas. For Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. This is a sign that he was giving. So when the Pharisees was asking, so Jesus was telling them there shouldn't be any sign given to you guys except the sign of Jonah. See, isn't it controversial here? Because with the Mark, he says no sign, but in the Matthew, he says there was a sign given. That's something you need to see, the controversies. Why? Even in Luke chapter. In Luke, he says in verse 2 and 22, okay, there was the Jesus of Nazareth was accredited with the miracles and sign. That was the Jew in Luke chapter 2 and 22 says. So what Mark says one, and Matthew says one, and Luke says one. So all are differently contradicting each other. I mean, like Matthew and Mark are okay. And moreover, the sign about Matthew is something really, what I can say, he is contradicting himself. Matthew contradicting himself, because in Matthew first chapter, you see there is a sign of a virgin birth, Virgin Mary. Matthew talks about the sign of a Virgin Mary because he compares with Isaiah chapter, and it is a sign prophetically given on the Matthew chapter 1. He explains that there was a virgin birth. But same Matthew contradicts in his chapter on Matthew chapter 12, telling that there was no sign given except the sign of Jonas. But Matthew already had a sign in his first chapter. Think about this, folks. There is a contradiction, because either Jesus said there is a sign or there is no sign. Usually, any prophet, they wouldn't be claiming by themselves they are prophets. That's not the Jewish way of doing this one. He shouldn't be claiming by himself. If anybody is claiming by himself, Deuteronomy 13 says that if any false prophets are there, they shall be put to death. They shall be given the capital punishment. So if you are a prophet, the prophet should be declared by the sages or probably the judges or the Sanhedrins, not by himself. Like nowadays that we see a lot of people declare themselves they are the prophets of this Christianity. Or we have seen several people always claim they are the prophets and they tell so many prophecies, right? So, but in here, in the Jewish way of thinking, or Jewish way of the Jewish culture, in that culture, any prophet shouldn't be declaring themselves that they are the prophets. It has to be approved. It has to be gone through. In Jesus' time period, there are 5 sages there. They should have been approved Jesus as a prophet. But in here, no, he claims himself, or that's a problem. So the sign of Jesus Christ. But whereas he says that as a sign of when you're taking some credits of your future tellings or prophetical tellings, that has to be definitely tested, right? So Jesus was giving the comparison of Jonas, that he would be there in the belly of this earth for 3 days and 3 nights. But John chapter 20 and 1 says that according to John chapter 20 and 1, Jesus was not there in the belly of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. He was there for 2 days and 2 nights. So there he differs again. John makes it that differs again. So there is a problem here, contradicting in the prophecies, and the prophecies were not correct. And also, prophets cannot be declared by themselves they are the prophets. That is not the Jewish tradition or Jewish culture. You have to be approved by the sages or Sanhedrin. You can never declare yourself as a prophet. Like these days, everybody is a prophet. Prophecy against anything. Prophecy against sugar, milk, bread, butter, anything. That's how the prophets are being here. But it would never be there. It is not be there, and it never been there in the Jewish culture or Jewish tradition way of declaring the prophets. So even if the Deuteronomy 17 and 18, 21 to 21 says that prophets should, how you test the prophets, they should say some prophecy. They should predict something, and it has to happen. That is one of the tests that they'll give to the prophet, that the prophet should predict something and it has to happen. Whereas, even if you go in the 13th chapter of Deuteronomy, it says that even the prophecies come true. There are false prophets you should be identified, and whatever they'll make you to believe you. They'll make you to believe that prophecy is getting fulfilled. But the false prophets are identified by the sages. They have the testing methodology, and then if they are proven like they are the false prophets, they would get killed. That's the punishment, capital punishment for a false prophet if you are. So be careful, folks out there. If you think that you are telling everything like a prophecy, if you're planning to cheat the people, cheat the public, those who are coming to you, you are declaring yourself as a prophet, and then telling all the prophecies, which is unbelievably, you don't even consider about these are prophetical things or not. If you're going to do this one, you can expect the capital punishment. That's what the Deuteronomy says. That's what the Jewish tradition, that's what the Jewish culture. Whereas here, it's not doing that. So I said, in the Mark chapter 8, there's a lot of controversies. Whatever he said he's going to raise up within 3 days and 3 nights. It wasn't there. And that's a total different topic. We can talk all day long, about that one. So, Peter, the other one is, let's see again some more words as we go back and see or read in Mark chapter 8. Let's go and read. All right. He said that, and then he departed on the other side. Now the disciples had forgotten to take bread, neither had they in the ship with them more than one loaf. And he charged them, saying, Take heed, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the leaven of Herod. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, It is because we have no bread. And when Jesus knew it, he saith unto them, Why reason ye, because ye have no bread? Perceive ye not, neither understand, have your heart hardened? Having eyes see ye not, and having ears hear ye not, and ye do not remember. When I break the 5 loaves among the 5,000, how many baskets full of fragments took ye up? They said unto him, 12. And when the 7 among 4,000, how many baskets full among fragments he took? And they said, 7. And he said unto them, How is it that ye do not understand? And he cometh to Bethesda, and said, They bring a blind man unto him, and he ought to him touch him. So again, and he took the blind man by the hand, and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes, and put his hands upon him, he asked him if he saw aught. And he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. After that he put his hands again upon his eyes, and made him to look up. He was restored, and he saw every man clearly. And he sent him away to his house, saying, Neither go into town, or not tell it into the town. Remember, neither go to the town, and not tell it to anyone. Okay. Then again Jesus went out as a disciple into the towns of Caesarea Philippi, and by the way he asked his disciples, saying to them, Whom do the men say that I am? So this is an interesting story. A blind man getting healed, and he got his eyes. Jesus sent him away, but warning him not to tell to anybody, not to say anything about these miracles. He just warns him. It's all under secret. He doesn't want to tell it outside publicly, right? So here it's again, that on the way, this is also a contradiction that Jesus was what he is telling. When where is that chapter? When he was, I think it's in John chapter 18. I think, yeah. In John chapter 20, I think, right? Jesus says that, he didn't hide anything. He was open to everybody. He didn't hide anything to the public or anyone. He was totally open. But here, on the other side, he always told to the disciples, don't tell about me to anyone. Don't go and tell about this miracle. Even to the blind man, he said that don't tell everything into this thing. And also he spoke several times in a parables. It's not open to all, only for you guys. But in John chapter 20, he says that he openly told everything. There was no hidden agenda for Jesus. Controversies again. Think about this, folk. Who write this one? Why they wrote this one? Maybe Jesus told really like this, or the authors were writing like this. Think about that. You got to think this one, right? So, when also while on the way that he was asking that who the public think about him. I mean, how would they know about this one? Even did the disciples went and took a quiz with all among the public? How many people they met? Or did they take any polling with the public about Jesus Christ? Or, they did anything else to find out, who was Jesus with the public? So all of a sudden they come and tell that, they tell something about this one, that, and then Peter was the one who said rightly that he was the Messiah, Christ the Messiah. And again, Jesus, always rebukes him. I mean, Jesus always curses him when he said that one, right? And when Jesus said that the Son of Man has to go through certain things. Son of Man has to go through certain process. He has to go through the inquiries, stages, and beaten up and put to death. That's what the Son of Man has to do. Then Peter took him out and he started to rebuke him. Said, you should not be doing this one. The problem here is that in Isaiah chapter 53, which is always compared to Jesus Christ, and it was said that, that was talking about the Messiah, how he would be punished, how would be, they will be putting in the crucifixion, and how he would die on the cross. Everything is written in Isaiah 53. Isaiah 53 exactly is reflecting Jesus Christ. That's the big hold for for the Christianity group, the Isaiah 53 chapter. But whereas here you can see, right on the spot that Jesus, if the Peter and his disciples, for example, if the Peter and his disciples would have studied already the Isaiah 53, they wouldn't be asking the questions. They wouldn't be, Peter wouldn't be rebuking Jesus Christ. No, don't say like this, But it was already written there. Then why Peter was asking these many questions? They should have been known already that Jesus was the Son of God, and Jesus was going to be, was the Messiah, and Jesus was, he was going to put on to the death on the cross. There shouldn't be any surprises. But because the disciples did not think the person what was mentioned in Isaiah was not Jesus Christ. So they never thought, because they knew all these things. They have seen this Isaiah chapter several times, 53, but they were not, connecting that Isaiah 53 chapter is directly quoting Jesus Christ. They didn't. Disciples did not, but the Christianity did that. Christianity was trying to connect this one but the disciples, those who lived along with Jesus Christ, they never connected Isaiah 53 with Jesus. If they would have known that one before, they wouldn't be asking questions. Peter wouldn't be rebuking Jesus Christ. Folks, think about, you got to think about a lot of things, a lot of controversies. Always, Paul was the one who wrote the New Testament book. The first book was coming from Paul. Paul and always disciples, if you go and read all the Paul's writings, they will be always fighting with the disciples. They never get along. Paul never get along with any disciple. It was a huge fight because Paul was telling so many things which they're not even agreeing on it. They were not even accepting on it. He was totally preaching and teaching against what the disciples were doing before. It was not. So what was Paul's claim? What was Paul's claim? Paul's claim was that he saw Jesus personally, directly, and Jesus told him he was the apostle and, apostle to the Gentiles. So that's what he is going to tell. So there is a story in in Jewish people, in Jewish system, there are a lot of stories and a lot of things going on there. So they wouldn't buy this one. They will never, and they didn't buy it from Paul. That's the problem. They said that, if a person who dies, and if a rabbi or somebody who dies, after some time, and if he had two, not even two, more than two, kids. But the rabbi never, he didn't write any will for these kids. So one of the kid went in after his father's death. One of the kids said that, yesterday daddy came in my dream and he said that all the property belongs to me. Then all the other kids asked him, well, that's fine, but why daddy didn't come and tell us in our dreams that you or the property belongs to you? That's the right question, right? If one comes and claims that Jesus came into me and he saw me and he gave me all these things, from now on I am the apostle for Gentiles. So tell that, why the same dad didn't go in the other people's dreams or the other disciples' dream and told them that, okay, Apostle Paul will be the future apostle for all the Gentiles. Why he didn't tell? That's a question, right? That was a problem. So Paul was self-manufactured, self-person, and he went and told these things, and which was totally against of Jewish practices, they didn't take him in his group at all, in the group at all. That's why Paul had to end up in the Gentile group. Otherwise, he was concentrating on Jewish people and in the Roman kingdom. But it didn't happen to him. They didn't take him inside, and they refused him. They rejected him. So now Paul went into the, on the Gentile side. Gentiles would believe anything. We are all like sheep, always nodding our head and listening to the, whatever people say. That's what we are. We never ask questions. We never ask what is the truth. We never give our ears to the truth, or we never ask questions to anyone. Because we feel that, if you ask something, that means you're against God or something, and you have a fear, and you don't want it to go through that way, in that way. So folks, Mark chapter 8, completely total controversies. Jesus was not consistent. He was telling in one place one, and the other place he was telling something different. In John chapter 20, he was telling that he was very open. He was so exhibiting everything to everybody. Like the sense on whatever his preaches and teachings were. Nothing was hidden. No, he didn't speak on anything. But on the other side, he also does the people to don't go and don't tell about this one, don't do this one. And also he was teaching in parables and so many things for the disciples. So many things. So many controversies in Mark chapter 8. I beg you guys, please, go and study. Study well the Bible. Why I tell all these things to you, why I pour all these things to you, you should know who is the real and true God and worship your God. Because you are violating the first commandment, that what it says, that, I am your God. There shouldn't be any other God. If you are worshipping or anything, you cannot violate that law. That's the first law, because if you're going to start worshipping somebody else or some 3 different forms or anything, that's not mentioned in the Bible. So you need to understand. You need to, you can always criticize. You can always criticize, in a very, very healthy way. And critical analysis is always, analytically critical is always good. You need to understand, you need to study the Bible. Instead of running to all the meetings everywhere, people conduct 24/7. That is what his business is. That is what their business is. That is how they get popular. That's what his focus. He knew how to do. The preachers and teachers, they knew how to, run this show, how to make benefit out of it. That's how they do. But you cannot just go there and sit down there and waste your time. Rather, study your Bible, learn your Bible, understand your Bible. There are a lot of meaning to the Bible which we're not understanding it. So once you come to know, then you will never leave it. You will never go, because what you learned was much, much better than anyone else's teachings outside there. So I recommend you, I urge you, please listen to this one carefully. And definitely one day you will be like, definitely you'll be watching this and you'll be listening to this, or sometimes you'll remember, whatever I said is the truth. The days are going to come pretty soon, pretty clear, very, very soon, and be ready for that. And by this, I'm closing this chapter. And Shabbat Shalom, Shavua Tov. May God bless you. God be with you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, ועת נעשה בחפצו כל. אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה
והוא עובד והוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא עובד והוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא עובד בתפארה, והוא עובד והוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא עובד והוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא עובד והוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא עובד בתפארה, והוא עובד והוא יהיה בתפארה. בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא עובד והוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא עובד בתפארה, והוא עובד והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא היה והוא עובד בתפארה, והוא עובד והוא יהיה בתפארה.